everybody, my name is Spoons Rattling, and welcome to a delayed, but finally getting here, part 2 to Warhammer 40k Combat Patrol. We're just going to do the unboxing for the second shipment. I had some issues, so this took a lot longer to get here than I expected. It's about a week late, but, you know, better late than never. Let's get into it. Don't want that to be too loud, but I think that's just the way of things. Let me try to pull this off screen. Don't want you seeing any potentially sensitive information. Oh. They also gave me... Oh yeah, I got my hobby tools with this one. So an extra pair of nippers, a mold line remover. I mean, extra nippers are always handy. I think mine are nearing the end of their life, but they're still kicking. So we've got issue 3 here. We've got issue 6, issue 4, and then this should be issue 5, yes? Yes, this is issue 5. So we'll go in order, as usual. Of course, this is the next in line. The first was the Terminator Captain and Winged Tyranid Prime. Oh, let me just get a knife so this isn't as loud. It's still a bunch of crinkly plastic, but such is the way of things, I suppose. Yeah, Tyranid Captain, or Winged Tyranid, the Von Ryan's Leapers, and what's it called? A Von Ryan's Leapers, Winged Tyranid Prime, Terminator Captain, who's actually sitting right here. He's still off to the side. This one, we've got Infernus Marines, the standard monopose kit that they are. I already have Infernus Marines, though I gave them different helmets, so I'll probably build these guys up just as stock for the little painting series I want to do with these Space Marines. And let's see, so here we have... Interesting, so these are the battlefield cards, which I believe are just supposed to sort of represent objectives, or something similar. You can use them as sort of flat terrain, if you will. But they gave them little stat lines, so if you wanted to have these be destructible, you could. I think that's actually something that should come back to modern 40k. You can punch these out, because I believe it is just a pretty simple punch out. Yep, just like that. Excuse me. Had a bit of a cough. Pull this out. Come on. These aren't the easiest to remove, but it just takes a little bit of pressure to get these all out. There we go. So, as you can see here, you've got these barrels and boxes and such, and they have a bunch of Tyranid stuff growing out. This would be toughness 2, 2 wounds. Very easy to destroy. And then over here, we've got the medium infestation site. Let's just punch through all these little tabs. This would be toughness 3 with a 6+ save and 2 wounds, so also pathetically easy to destroy. The next two actually have some beef to their bones for destructible objective markers, which I'm sure we'll read about in the magazine. We probably won't do a full sort of showcase of everything, like rolling everything, just because I think I'd rather save doing that for an actual, like, maybe we will. I'm not doing too much today. I got a movie later, though, so that's why we're going with this style of video. It's a little bit quicker on my end, which is always good, especially right before the 12th of the month, which is when AdSense deposits my payments. Not that I'm making a lot of money. I just like to make every little extra bit I can. Alright, that's enough yapping about scheduling. So these must be part of your little beginner mission that you're going to learn, and things to shoot at with your Infernus Marines, because they all have stat lines, of course. You've got the large infestation site. The artwork here is pretty nice. It's a spore assist kind of deal. Toughness 5, 5+ save, 2 wounds. Very easy to destroy, but also just useful as a little bit of flat terrain. This one, toughness 6 with a 4+ save, so actually some beef to it, but still only 2 wounds, nothing special. And then we already covered these two, both very, very squishy. Easily torched, one could say. Then you have little data cards here, which are the Combat Patrol data sheets for all the units you would have so far, with the Captain and Terminator armor, and the Winged Tyranid Prime, and then the Von Ryans and the Infernus Squad, so you have your own little force of Tyranids and Space Marines. And then you also have You have some of the next data sheets as well. Terminators, Librarian, Termagants, Barbgaunts, etc. Not etc. That's everything. I won't be punching these out just because I don't think I need to. Though, yeah, I mean, Terminators, tough and fighty, as they should be. Librarian gives them that sustained hits, which is definitely nice. Captain gives them reroll charge rolls. And then Infernus squads have flamethrowers. Not much more to say. Let's move on to the actual little magazine here. They've got the instructions there, very standard, very important though. Million worlds. Space Marines at war. Looks like it gives you the different kinds of worlds. Hive worlds, which are the main sort of housing worlds. Forge worlds, of course, where most of the war machines are made. Agri worlds, where food is produced, and shrine worlds, which are sort of the high-end planets, usually dedicated to specific heroes of the Imperium. So it looks like here we have a sort of chapter overview. Why not? Let's go through this. So you got your Space Marines of War. Basically talking about how Space Marines are elite fighters, which of course they are. You have the Vanguards, which would be your Phobos, your Scouts, things like that. Armored Support, which, Land Raiders. The Hover Tanks, Dreadnoughts, things like that. And then you have the Companies. That's artwork of, I believe it was the first Warhammer magazine had this guy as their unique miniature. It was a lieutenant of some kind. And then you have, First Company. Seem to be talking a lot about Terminators here. Not that I mind. I love Terminators. 10th Company, of course, is where your Scouts and stuff would be. Deep Strike. Looks like this gives us a little story. Lanius regarded the humans at his feet. Once a long, long time ago, he had been like these creatures. He too had cringed with devotion to the statue of the Adeptus Astartes. He too had known the icy grip of fear in the face of the alien, the heretic, and the mutant. Now he was more even than a space marine. He did not regard this with pride or arrogance. Every year of a triumphant battle, every commendation weighed upon his shoulder as heavily as his Terminator war plate. He took a breath of stale ship air, drinking in the rich smell of guns, gun oil, blood, and incense. Then the serfs lowered his huge helmet, as large as one of their torsos, over his head. Lanius regarded his battle brothers, identified by their ornate plate and signifier tags on his heads-up display. There was Scipio, a relic seemingly as old as the ancient armor he wore, all scars and battle stories with grim end. There was Ajax, the newest to join the squad, who Lanius had known as a hot-headed scout Phodian, and Phodian was praying to his armor's machine spirits as servitors affixed wax and parchment purity seals to his flank. While Pentus checked his colossal assault cannon with the tech priest, there was no need to speak. The brothers understood each other with the closeness of a century of war can bring. The captain's orders flashed into their helm. Oh wow. Okay, well, I'm going to leave that there because that's quite a bit to read. Infernus Marines. Oh yeah, they want us to name these guys. Huh, dice! So we rolled a 4, which would put this as Squad Fabian. Alright, so this will be Squad Fabian. Datasheet. Yeah, I mean, Infernus Marines are handy little objective getters. They've got some big juicy flamers to torch enemies, and are generally useful for that. And then they give us a Space Marine naming table. I'm not sure, because we already named our captain. I'm not sure who. Not sure. Oh, this is for unit names. Well, sure. I'm not sure who are we rolling this for? It's not like we got our Terminators yet. Maybe we'll just roll this for the Terminators. That's cocked. So we got a 6 on the first one. 6-3. So Noxus Crusader. Oh wait, no. Noxus Exemplars. Sounds kind of disgusting, but I suppose that'll be the name of our Terminator squad. Here we have shooting attacks, of course. Which, yes, many enemies are equipped with shooting weapons in Warhammer 40k. Weapon special rules, yeah, if your flamer has Torrent, as you can see down here, it auto hits the enemy, which is generally pretty useful. So if you see here, so this is how it works, basically. You set out your 4 little tokens, and then you torch it with a Infernus Marine, which is pretty standard, I'd say. Single model. Let me grab one of my Infernus Marines. We'll run through this. Here we can see our duotone, little Infernus Marine here, that I painted up on the channel. a few weeks back now. And let's just take one of this thing. So, of course, a Pyreblaster has D6 attacks that auto-hit. So we'll put these guys right yonder. Boom. So 6 attacks. That's pretty darn good. Do I have 6 dice on me? Just barely. 6 dice. So, the strength of a Pyreblaster is strength 5 versus your toughness of 3, which means you're wounding on 3s as your strength is greater than your enemy's toughness. So, we wound with everything but these two. 1 and 2 fail. Everything else succeeds, and then the medium infestation site gets to save on 6s. It does not save and is therefore destroyed. Pretty standard. Shooting is relatively simple. Granted, 40k is a game that's pretty easy to... You pick it up quick. Here you have your little story and showing you more. Pyreblasts are strength characteristic, of course, 5. And then the infestation is toughness, whatever it is. And that's pretty much... Well, we're just going to say the Space Marines won that one, because I didn't want to go through all 6 turns of what that would have been. Yeah, I mean, the Infernus Marine allows himself a moment of pride as the last infestation site is reduced to a charred husk. Takes a moment to reload and to upload the coordinates of his location to his battle brothers, who will join him soon. Now purged of Xenos taint, this will be a fine staging post for the rescuing of his missing captain, who we, of course, do have. So, next, we have the next edition, which is going to have these paints in it, and also this guy. Let's move on. I can't imagine issue 4 is going to be the most in-depth. I'll cut this one off camera again. Crinkly plastic, very noisy. Cut that off. Yoink. And just dump everything out. Dump everything out. Come on. I don't want to make too much crinkling noise. There we go. So this edition, instead of coming with any minis, comes with a brush and some paints, both essential for painting anything. But I believe they are mainly sort of styled around your archetypal Leviathan and Ultramarines. Macragge Blue is a wonderful blue that is slightly purple in color, very deep color. I really quite like Macragge Blue. Barrack Burgundy is a very dark purplish red color, good for chitin or anything similar. And then Wraithbone is a good bone color, of course. All very solid paints. I've used them on occasion, and they're all useful to have, and I actually don't have these two, so that's nice to add to my collection. Now let's look through Combat Patrol 4. So they get into how to paint. Basically, they show the Citadel paint setup. That's a little bit outdated. I believe they've retired palette pad now. But, yeah, get your paper towel, water pot, your paints. And then, pretty standard, yeah, you'll need a water pot. Paint palettes, I would recommend using a plate. If you don't have a palette, a plate is a solid option. Or a tile, if you have a spare one of those. Paint brushes, you have your starter brush, which is pretty standard. It's not the nicest thing in the world, but I'd highly recommend just going to a Hobby Lobby or a Michaels and getting a bunch of synthetic brushes for like $7. Those will do you just fine, especially when starting out. So, of course, take a bit of paint, thin it out with the water from your water pot. If remember, your paint will be too thick. And then you can kind of use this as a general rule of thumb. If it's applying like that, obviously it's too thick. If it's applying like that, it's too thin. Thinning paints isn't difficult, but it's something you kind of have to key in yourself. It's hard to describe. So just try different levels of thinning to see what's comfortable for you, of course. As you can see, they also recommend, of course, doing first, second, and even a third coat. I do highly recommend that, especially with lighter colors. You can get a wonderfully smooth finish with 3 thin coats. Though 2 coats also works in a lot of cases. Here we have the painting guide for the Terminator Captain, who we've already painted, so we won't be following that. But they do recommend base all the armor and the cape with Macragge Blue. Of course, I would recommend also going to Walmart and getting a can of like Rust-Oleum gray or black primer and putting that down first. It's going to make your paint job a lot more durable, make the model a lot easier to read. And then they recommend doing the same thing with the Infernus Marines. And then they also recommend you undercoat your Terminators. What am I talking about? Your Tyranids with Wraithbone, which makes sense. And then you would just apply the Barakner to their chitin. This looks like a story from the Silver Templars, who we definitely need to do a painting video on. I'm thinking I'll use one of my Infernus Marines for that. And then you have just more of that story. Space Marine Captains. This is supposed to be... We already made a title. I believe it was... What? Actually, I can't remember. I believe it's Captain... I can't remember the name of my captain. Whatever. Let's see. They've proven. Generated title and background for your captain. So, 4. This captain proved his worth not just through incredible deeds, but through genius tactical treatise that will be studied by the chapters for centuries to come. The Steel-Minded, which I think actually fits the Dark Krakens we painted him as. Our Chaplain on bike, who will get not too far off. We got a Juan. Chaplain is famed for his furious sermons of war, which on more than one occasion have caused the foe to flee before even a single shot has been fired, which is the Emperor's voice. And then our Librarian in Terminator armor, with a 3, that is the Librarian gained the attention of his captain after making a series of uncannily accurate psychic predictions. This secured crushing victories for the Space Marines. He is the Seer. Now for our Tyranid characters, for the Prime, it that kills, what a name, huh? This Tyranid Prime rose to notoriety due to its vengeful instincts. It is returned after death and time and time again to slay its previous killers. Of course, Tyranids can effectively be remade after they die. And then the Parasite of Motrex. 4. The Parasite's Ripper Swarms are notorious for their voracious appetite, and they've been observed gnawing through Rockcrete to get at fresh prey, the font of endless hunger. Of course. Desperate measures. Having expended their ammunition on the Tyranid hordes, a squad of Infernus Marines makes its way back to their base. However, on the way they're ambushed by a pack of Von Ryan's Leapers. The only way forward is through desperate hand-to-hand combat, as they pit brute strength against the speed and ferocity of the Tyranids. Before you battle, grab the data sheets. You don't need to grab those, because why would we? And then we get to... these two get to fight in close combat. Let me go grab my Von Ryans and a few more Infernus Marines. Here we go, we have our Infernus Marines, or Von Ryan's Leapers. Let's have these two duke it out. So, everyone's in combat, as it should be. This is very much a poor fight, or a bad matchup for the Space Marines, if you couldn't tell. Let me just count out my dice, because the Von Ryan's Leapers, don't forget, have fights first, which means they get to strike first as it is, and they will hit much harder than the Infernus Marines, because the Infernus Marines aren't built for combat. They are built to torch with their flamers. So, that's all the attacks for our Von Ryan's Leapers, and there's a good chance the Infernus Marines straight up die here. We'll bring that back later, so we have more space to roll. So, 18 dice, hitting on 3s, of course, which means we get rid of anything that is a 1 or a 2, which is not a lot. That was a 1. Remember to be honest with your dice rolls. Very important. And then the Von Ryans are strength 5 versus the toughness 4 of our Space Marines. So they'll be wounding them on 3s. So, again, 1s and 2s do disappear. And then the Space Marines have to save all of these on a 4+, as these claws are AP 1. Ugh. So let's take the ones they saved, which is this. And this. Unfortunately, that's 2 damage, 2 damage, 2 damage, 2 damage, which wipes out 4 of our Infernus Marines. So we're down to 1 Infernus Marine who gets to fight back, which is 3 attacks that hit on 3s, that wound on 5s, they fail, and we'll slow roll the Von Ryans just so we don't have to roll a bunch of dice at once. And then this will be on 3s again, and then on 4s. He saves 1, he's down to 1 wound remaining. And then again, yeah, this is a bit of a poor matchup for the Infernus Marines. This is the next Von Ryan. Everything wounds. Unfortunately, our Infernus Marines have failed to do anything of note to the Von Ryan's Leapers. but I'm not surprised. I think they were supposed to lose that encounter. Let's jump back and read our lore as our little chapter lore increases. Oh. Whoops. I think I was only supposed to use a few of the one Von Ryan's Leaper. Whatever. You get the idea. It probably wouldn't have gone much different had only one Von Ryan's Leaper been attacking. And then, yeah, this is actually a good thing. I like that they included these. It just gives you a little bit of extra terrain that you can use to block line of sight without needing anything that are 3D. Goes over data sheets here. That's pretty standard. And then, well, is there not even a little story for who wins? Well, the Von Ryans won, so that squad got destroyed, unfortunately. With that, we're done with this edition. This was a very good one, in my opinion. It taught you more so about the game itself and the hobby side of things, which is nice to not overwhelm you. Because don't forget, you now have 2 units on each side. You can play full-on games of Warhammer. They'll just be very simple, because, of course, you only have 2 units. I'm going to, again, cut this off to the side, hopefully not blast out your eardrums. Come on. This is our first sort of exclusive, if you will, because we have a unique Infernus Marine here. I'll probably paint this guy up as a Silver Templar, as you can see right there on the cover. They push these guys up. You also get another batch of these dice, which are very high quality, admittedly. Now you have 12 of them, which is a nice amount, though you'll definitely want more. So yeah, this guy, very cool model. We're going to build him up and paint him. That'll be one of our next videos. I like the pose, it's very cool. I do like this artwork from, I believe it was 7th edition. How to build your Infernus Marine. This is where you'll need glue for the first time, so make sure to get some plastic cement. And then they have some notes on base coating, which, yes, very good. Use that Wraithbone. And then also, when you just overspill, don't sweat it too much. Just go back and fix it. The colors they included are pretty strong, so it shouldn't be too bad. Here you have your how to paint. Of course, yeah, always make sure you're moving your model so it's in a position that's comfortable to hold while you're painting. And then this is the sort of inside-out painting method, which I really should do more often, where you paint all the smaller details and then move outward. It's just a different take. But for Space Marines, I think it's quite good, especially monocolor ones like Space Marines. Sorry, I forgot the name for a second. Then yeah, painting and sub-assemblies can definitely be helpful. Maybe not so much for this guy, but for more advanced poses it can be helpful. Updating your space, yeah, so you're just applying Wraithbone and Barrickner Burgundy. Wraithbone on all the skin and such, which is a fine color to use if it's a little pale, admittedly. And then using Barrickner Burgundy to get all the chitin and such on your miniatures. See, and then you have almost battle ready. Then you have the Imperial Tithe, which talks about how every planet's main resource is just giving bodies to the Imperial Guard and such to keep everything working. That's cool. They're just telling you to swap out the old Infernus Sergeant for the new one because he's so much cooler. I'm not going to do that because I'd have to build him, and that would take just a bit of time. And I'm actually out of plastic cement. I used the last of it to build my Rogaldorn battle tank last night. So this guy, of course, is awesome, and you should use him as your sergeant. We get to name them, man. Let's use this purple. 1d6, so we got a 2. This sergeant will only leave the field once he is sure that the enemies have been totally eradicated from existence, using his Pyroblast to discourage any trace of them. And he is the Purging Flame. Alright, good to know. Flames of Purification. I mean, this looks like pretty much the same single-use profiles. This mission is equipped with 3 canisters of experimental armor piercing. This is interesting. It lets you kind of deal with sort of single-shot weapons. Yeah, I mean, armor penetration is pretty standard. All these things are on, 5+ saves. We already did this, so we're not going to do that, but this is good just to teach people about armor penetration. Space Marines, of course, would win because this guy's too baller. Yeah, I mean, he carries with him decades of experience. Dice and modifiers. I'll tell you D3 there. On a 1 or a 2, it's a 1. 3 or a 4, it's a 2. And a 5 or a 6, or it's a 3. Just have it and round up, and you are good, pretty much. Or round to the nearest whole number, I should say. And then they teach you about cocked dice, which you should reroll. And then modifiers, 2+. Oh yeah, I get the idea. And then modifying characteristics. Yep. Very nice. So next, I mean, we already got the Barb Gaunts, and then next we'll be getting our Termagants, and we'll see what else we'll be getting at the end of the next one, which that was a very short one, admittedly, but it was kind of just explaining things we'd already gone over. We'd already covered AP in the first two sort of examples, if you will. Oops. So, here we go. 6. We've got Barb Gaunts, which are gaunts equipped with big bio cannons to chip away at enemies. This is what, my 3rd squad of Barb Gaunts, if I'm not mistaken. Wait a minute. They sent me the wrong base. I'll have to email them. They might just send me a whole other patch. But yeah, I'll have to email them. That's strange. Make sure to contact them. You're paying a lot of money, and part of that money is for customer support. So if you get a wrong base, just call them, and they'll get you fixed up right away, or they should. How strange. Anyways. Yep, so here are your Barb Gaunts. Sort of medium infantry firepower for the, why can't I say this word? Tyranids. I was really struggling with that. But yeah, Barb Gaunts, really cool. I always like the look of these big bio cannons. Put that to the side. Oh wait, no, they gave me the right bases. What is this base for? This must have been here for something. I can't really decipher. What size is it? 32 mil? I guess this is for the Infernus Sergeant. How strange. I don't know how we ended up there, but well, that really threw me off my game. I really like this artwork. It's very sort of abstract, and I like that in my artwork. How to build your Barb Gaunts, pretty standard. I would recommend using plastic glue and snipping down those pegs just to make it a little easier. And then follow the painting guide. Paint everything with Wraithbone, then use the Barrickner Burgundy for the chitin. And there you go. You've got some very simply painted Tyranids. So, Emperor of Mankind, of course, the Emperor of Mankind. There's really not much more to say. Super powerful being. There he is on a golden throne. That's what he looks like to this day. Yeah, I mean, he's trapped there. You didn't know. That's what the Emperor looks like. Chained up to things, fed by 1,000 souls of Psychers every day. Then you have the Hive Fleets, which of course would be the grand sort of armies, ships, branches of the Tyranid invasion of the galaxy. Here you have the 3 main ones, Kraken, which is white and red, then Behemoth, which is red and blue, and Leviathan, which is white and purple. All very cool color schemes. I'm quite partial to Behemoth myself. Then you have the first Tyrannic War. I'm sure many people remember this fondly as one of the starter sets for Warhammer, I believe it was 4th edition. Where you had Space Marines versus Tyranids. Not too dissimilar to Leviathan. Battle for Macragge, which, was when the Ultramarines got wiped out to a man, pretty much. Alright, Barbus Gaunts. What do they call? 3. So this is more of a background table. We'll name these guys the Barbies. The Barbies. What a stupid name. This is a useful ability. It allows them to slow down enemies that they shoot, or one enemy that they shoot, they can slow them down, which is very useful for objectives and such. Live fire operation. Barb Gaunts versus... okay. Let me grab my Barb Gaunts. Well, I don't know where they are. It's because they're not assembled. That's right, my Barb Gaunts aren't assembled. Unfortunately, I have nothing to do with this. But basically what they're saying is showing you the barb launchers being shot at these guys. Their saves should make it so they don't get too blasted, but the reduced movement is certainly not appreciated. Let's roll a d6 to see who won. 1 to 3, Space Marines. 4 to 6, Tyranids. We'll count that as 1, so Space Marines. The Infernus Marines, some a bulkhead behind them, narrowly inviting a final punishing hail of fire. They've escaped the wrath of the Barbgons now. Now they must prepare to face the swarm. Continue to advance to the Imperial rendezvous point, for they will be sorely needed in battles to come. Yes, they will. Showing you how to split fire. Yes, you cannot split fire from a model, but from a unit you can. So with that, we wrap up the next... they're just showing us what we already got. Or what we already saw in the last one. I believe we'll get... Not the Tyranid. We'll get the Biker Chaplain, I think, with this shipment. Which is definitely cool. Anyways, I've been Spoons Rattling. This one is definitely not as exciting as the first one, just because it doesn't have all the bonus stuff going on. But still great value, $15, you know. That's so much cheaper than these guys usually go for. Combat Patrol continues to impress. Anyways, I've been Spoons Rattling. I hope you enjoyed this video. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you all next time. Bye-bye.